Well, award season is upon us, and it looks like Baldur's Gate 3 is going to be taking home a lot of hardware. At the Golden Joysticks Award Show, Baldur's Gate 3 won Game of the Year, an award that they're probably going to be getting from a lot more shows in the coming months, maybe even at the Video Game Awards in December. Grand Theft Auto 6, the anticipation for this new installment is through the roof, and one fan took things to a new level as the GTA 6 reveal led to a skeptical Redditor drinking their own urine. Yeah, I'm not even joking. And they actually proved it on Reddit. They said, if GTA 6 gets announced this week, I'll drink my own that. And they did. Can tell you how crazy people have been waiting for this game, and, well, we're only a couple of weeks away from seeing an official trailer. Now, speaking of trailers, we did get a recent one from BioWare celebrating N7 Day for Mass Effect, and it just created many more questions about where the future of this franchise is going. Is Commander Shepard coming back? Are they the playable protagonists in this new installment? How far into the future is this new installment? Is N7 now the baddies? Are they like Cerberus? Just so many questions, and it is starting to frustrate some people. As PC Gamer reports, BioWare's endless cryptic teases for Mass Effect and Dragon Age aren't just frustrating, they're arrogant. The studio's acting like it's on a victory lap when it should still be on its apology tour, which is very true. This company has not delivered on a new game in a very, very long time. Anthem, Mass Effect Andromeda were big failures for the company. And while I personally did love Mass Effect Legendary Edition, it was a remaster. And now we all look to Dragon Age and see if BioWare can recapture some magic, and there's a lot of people skeptical about that. Now, the issue specifically with Mass Effect is that this recent tease is for a game that is nowhere near releasing, which is kind of a shocking revelation just because of the fact that a lot of us assumed it was only a couple of years away. No. This new report coming, the next Mass Effect isn't expected until 2029 or later, report claims. This report coming from Jeff Grubb, he has reported a lot of information on the upcoming Dragon Age installment. He said, you want some original reporting? This game is just nowhere near coming out. I was told that when they revealed Dragon Age Dreadwolf in 2018, this is similar in terms of timeline. That was announced in 2018, and we're not getting that game until maybe next year. So now do the math for that, and we're talking 2029 for Mass Effect 5. And then a GameSpot editor who was also part of this podcast added that I've heard similar things as well, and this game is so far away. It's so far in another galaxy right now, which creates questions of what's even the point of teasers like this, and also the fact, are we even sure BioWare will be around by then? Now, Sony has been making some big splashes, or attempting to, in the live service circle. They obviously went out and acquired Bungie. The Last of Us spin-off project has been in development the last couple of years, a lot of anticipation for that, but it has had a troubled development. Insomniac and it seems like Horizon are also exploring some big live service projects in the future, but Sony is saying that they're committed to quality in this regard, as they've delayed half of its 12 planned live service games. In a recent investor call, we are reviewing this. We're trying as much as possible to ensure these games are enjoyed and liked by gamers for a long time. We'll see what happens in this regard. This was an area that Jim Ryan could never get right, and I very much am skeptical that Sony is going to be able to get this right. It feels like what works for them is the single-player story-driven games, and pivoting away from that for live service money feels extremely risky, and right now it doesn't seem like behind the scenes things are going all that well. Now, another company that is jumping into this messy, risky area is Warner Brothers, as they are doubling down on live service games again. This is a company that has pretty much indicated they are all about the money nowadays, which is so disappointing because of the IP that they hold. CEO David Zaslav said in a recent earnings call, our focus is on transforming our biggest franchises from largely console and PC based with 3-4 year release schedules to include more always-on gameplay through live services, multi-platform, and free-to-play extensions, with a goal to have more players spending more time on more platforms. Ultimately, we want to drive engagement and monetization of longer cycles and at higher levels. We have put specific capabilities. We are currently under scale and see significant opportunity to generate greater post-purchase revenue. So if you were thinking that the success for Hogwarts Legacy earlier this year was going to change the company, it seems like we're going to be getting more Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League-like experiences, which, hey, for content on this channel, we'll have more stuff to talk about, but in terms of enjoyable gameplay experiences, it doesn't seem like we're going to be getting much of that from Warner Brothers, unfortunately. The Epic Game Store a couple of years ago sparked a lot of controversy with the launch of their Epic Game Store and their strategy of making many games exclusive on their PC launcher. This was a massive story we talked about, I think, around 2018 with Metro Exodus, Borderlands 3, and there was a lot of controversy at the time. Now, though, we're getting some information on that strategy and how it so far has been extremely unsuccessful. As Rock Paper Shotgun reports, 5 years after it took on Steam, the Epic Game Store is yet to make a penny of profit. And the company hoped to scoop up half of all PC gaming revenue back in 2021, and they just are nowhere near those goals, and I'm not sure they're ever going to be able to reach those goals. They wanted to take down Steam, they wanted to change up the PC gaming landscape, and ultimately, let's be fair, they wanted to be the monopoly, throwing as much money as possible at different developers, publishers to launch their games exclusively on their launcher, and that strategy has backfired up to this point. Ubisoft is preparing for their next big Assassin's Creed open-world RPG that is going to be taking us to feudal Japan with Assassin's Creed Red, and we're starting to get some new details on our new assassins. Insider Gaming is reporting that the Assassin's Creed Red samurai will be based on the real-life African samurai called Yasuke. They furthermore corroborated some other information that had been previously leaked in regards to the female protagonist named Neo, who is on a quest for revenge following the death of their father. Now, similar to Neo, Insider Gaming is saying that Yasuke's story starts off with tragedy, and unlike his real-life story, his story has been rewritten, because that definitely is going to go right for Ubisoft. Rewriting history, oh boy. In Assassin's Creed Red, Yasuke was a slave traveling on a slave ship when it was attacked and everyone was killed, including his lover, but he survived. Yasuke was then rescued and brought to Japan, where he learned the way of the samurai. We should be seeing this new installment sometime next year. Zero Punctuation has been one of my personal favorite video game review series for the last number of years. I believe it's been around since around 2007, 2008, and now it's coming to an end because of corporate greed. As this was reported by Forbes, the Escapist fired some of its team members, including its editor-in-chief Nick Calandra, for repeatedly not meeting goals set by its parent company Gamers. And furthermore, the entire staff of the Escapist departed with this announcement by Calandra, all doing it in solidarity, and many seeing the writing on the wall that their jobs probably would be redundant in the next couple of years, as it does feel like in the video game landscape, many of these websites are falling apart as corporate greed is taking over. Yahtzee Croshaw, who is the main host, or he's the guy behind Zero Punctuation, took to his Twitter saying, "Today I formally resigned from the Escapist and Gamers. I don't have the rights to Zero Punctuation, but whatever happens, you'll be hearing my voice again soon in a new place." Now, the thing is with Zero Punctuation, it cannot go on. There's nobody else that's going to be able to take this over. The brand is now dead, and honestly, whoever owns Gamers, I think that's who the corporate owner, they should just give it to Yahtzee, because he is the brand. And to be fair, the Escapist brand's probably pretty much dead now. In a couple of years, it'll probably just be used for those AI articles that many of these gaming websites are now becoming. But in regards to the Escapist, they've already started a new venture. This was almost immediately. It kind of feels like they knew that this was eventually going to happen, but they have formed Second Wind. As GamesIndustry.biz reports, the new publication is an employee-owned and independent subscription-based outlet. The future for this video game industry in terms of coverage is independent people, independent websites, independent sources. You're going to see a lot less IGNs and GameSpots in the future. That's my prediction. And supporting these independent ventures is important. And if you are looking to support Yahtzee and the rest of the Escapist team, go check out the Second Wind. One of the big controversies of this week, which has been taking over social media, is Yakuza. Yakuza hired a new English actor to play the iconic character of Kiryu, and there's been controversy in regards to the performance. As IGN reports, Yakuza fans divided over Kiryu's new voice actor, especially his karaoke performance. And I would say divided is an understatement, because wow, there is a lot of pushback. Now, if many of you already know this, as there is an overlap with our audiences, YongYea, somebody who does a lot of gaming coverage like myself, is the new English voice actor for Kiryu. And many are extremely angry with his performance, and there's also people going after pretty much everything that he's done, including what he does on YouTube and his video game coverage, which, say what you will, he has amassed quite the audience, and I think he does a pretty good job at what he does. The thing is about YongYea's performance is that people are sharing clips like this. This is 17,000 likes on it. Some of it's extremely overly critical, the things that people are saying, but you can hear it for yourself here in this clip.
Justice, we're breaking the law, breaking the world together.
Yeah, so that is his karaoke skills.
Throwing out all tenderness, we're breaking the rules. No cause, no choice, no going back to how it was. No slowing down because we'll keep our heads high, our fists raised.
I think you kind of get the idea, and I feel like this user actually in this IGN article kind of puts this perfectly in perspective. Come on, they could have just brought in a crazy professional rock and roll singer to do this. Instead of putting the dubcast through that, nobody would have cared. And I think that's fair. I think, honestly, the biggest problem with this Yakuza performance is that I don't know if Young was the right choice for this. That is my personal opinion about this. I don't think he fits the character, especially I believe Kiryu's like in his 50s, and Young just doesn't really personify that. Now, at least that's my opinion on this. We did see other individuals, other YouTubers being extremely critical. Who let them hire YongYea? Who? And why isn't that person fired already? And then people have been pointing out some other stuff that Young has said in the past, especially in regards to Chris Pratt and his performance as Mario, because Young had some other tweets pretty critical of Chris Pratt as Mario, saying that Chris Pratt's performance as Mario is just him playing as Chris Pratt. People are saying Young's pretty much just Young instead of being Kiryu. Now, there has also been Young's statement about this. He said, "I appreciate all of those reaching out with kind words on Kiryu. Always knew some toxicity was coming, or that not everyone would be on board, but I'm glad to see more people are warming up to my version. I'm excited for people to see Kiryu's full journey. Wish I could show more. I get the apprehension. You've been listening to an iconic voice for almost 20 years and have a very clear idea of how he should sound. My voice is not a 100% match, and it's not supposed to be, similarly to how, say, English and Japanese versions of Snake sound vocally distinct." Now, Young also shared this clip of his performance compared to the Japanese version, and I'm going to be honest, I think there is a drastic difference in terms of, I feel like I believe Sega is behind this franchise. They really set Young up for failure. That's my personal take on this whole situation.
You
know, had you just waited 3 minutes, I'd have been a little more grateful. Yeah.
町の情報通何人かに接触して渡りはつけた。
I made contact with a good number of people, just waiting for them to get back to me.
あんたは相変わらず一言余計だ。
There's always something extra, isn't there?
Like I said, I just don't think it fits the character, but that's my personal perspective on it. I know some people have said that they do enjoy this. They think people are just being haters, but I do see the overwhelming majority is just extremely upset with this performance, and also some of the stuff that Young has done in the past, especially right now, in which he's blocking and hiding a lot of replies. But to be fair to him, a lot of these replies, some really nasty stuff, especially on his recent YouTube videos. I've seen some horrific things, and I don't think Young is just a YouTuber. He's done a lot of voice acting in the last couple of years, some great performances, but this just feels like he was set up for failure. That's my take on the situation, and it'd be interesting to see what Young has to say furthermore, because a lot of people want a proper response in a video form, and we'll see what happens. Blizzard has had an interesting last couple of years, as the company is just yet another studio which has lost a lot of veteran talent, and they've just gone from controversy to controversy. And we have another very interesting one in which Blizzard's president slams gamers' lack of patience, which you have some people saying that there is validity to this, and then some people bringing up the Overwatch 2 situation. Now, Mike Ybarra, who is the president of Blizzard, he did a recent interview with The Verge, and he spoke about the nature of live service games and how they're facilitating a paradigm shift in the industry. Players have no patience, they want new stuff every day, every hour. We're trying to react that way while holding the Blizzard quality bar higher. And, to a statement like this, I just have to ask, players waited a couple of years. They gave their hope to Blizzard with Overwatch 2, the big promise of a major PvE component. And you know what that waiting got them? a big fat cancellation, and then they got story missions which were paywalled. So you can kind of understand why some people do not like to hear this coming from Mike Ybarra. But he did continue. He spoke about trying to create a balance between satiating the players and creating valuable content. We know players want new content literally almost every single day. At the same time, it takes large teams to be able to deliver that, so you have to monetize it in the right ways. Right ways. Like Diablo Immortal's $500,000 worth of microtransactions. Was that the right way? Don't think so. At the same time, I always tell the teams, when someone spends $1 a penny with Blizzard, I want them to feel good after they do that. Okay. How do we get to a world where we can... I can't take that seriously. I really can't. When you, again, $500,000 fucking dollars on a mobile game and talking about the Blizzard standard that magically still exists, it doesn't. How do we get to a world where we know that's always going to be the basis of what we're doing? Now, another thing with these Blizzard microtransactions, even ignoring their mobile stuff that they've been doing the last couple of years, their big shift into that specific market, Diablo 4 had some very interesting prices with their microtransactions. This was around June. Horse armor cost 4 times the price of Oblivion's controversial horse armor, and I think that was like only $10 or so. And then there were some other microtransactions that were around the $20, $30 range, which I will always push back on stuff like that. I don't care that it's cosmetic. These prices are getting absolutely ridiculous. And then we have this one. Paul Tassi of Forbes, I hope Diablo 4's microtransactions get less terrible. Diablo 4, you can get Father's Judgment for $70 fucking dollars. And I get it. You get premium currency. That's what these developers, these publishers love to fall back on. Oh no, the value's there in that premium currency, but that skin, it's locked behind that. And I absolutely hate this. And that is the nature of Blizzard here. They are driven by microtransactions. And to be fair, this is where all the money's being made nowadays in this gaming industry. That's why we've been seeing a lot of these mobile-esque scams making it into these premium console games. And again, when you're paying $70 for these games, I do find stuff like this outrageous. Now, on the flip side of the company, we have Activision, which has their own controversy right now going on with Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, which might be one of the worst Call of Duty games ever, maybe the worst Call of Duty ever released. And there's been a lot of controversy. We've been covering it the last couple of days and weeks, but there's a new one in which, yeah, these skins, again, cosmetics can be pay to win. That is a big thing. We had somebody sharing this. This is a pay to win skin. Remember, this skin now enough is enough with this pay to win. Because yes, this stuff like this is unacceptable in a multiplayer experience. That's why, again, I will say this 1,000 fucking times. Cosmetics are not always just cosmetic. They can be pay to win. They can be a problem. This is a great example of this. And especially when they're being locked behind $20, $30 costs, and then there's bundles they're locked in, like the Blizzard situation we just talked a second ago about. It's unacceptable in my mind. Now, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, the reviews are starting to come in, and it's forming very negatively. It has a 55 on OpenCritic right now. I think on Metacritic it's about the same score. Only 5% of critics are recommending this experience. Some of the recent reviews, we have Digital Trends saying in their negative review, little to play and nothing to say. I believe they gave it a 5 out of 10. Sports Illustrated's video games website saying Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 is the worst Call of Duty game at the worst time. And VGC giving the game a 2 out of 5 stars, saying Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 is a thin and disappointing entry. Now, we are getting some insider reporting coming from Jason Schreier, who recently talked with some of the developers on the project, and he's giving us some clarity on this $70 DLC, because that's exactly what it is. Most Call of Duty games are developed in around 3 years, but the bulk of Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 was made in less than a year and a half, which gives us a great idea on why this is such a mess. The process was hurried because this year's game was conceived to fill a gap in the release schedule following the delay of another Call of Duty title previously planned for 2023. MW3 was originally pitched to staff at its California-based developer Sledgehammer Games as an expansion to last year's title, but it morphed into a full sequel during development because Bobby Kotick wanted that precious money. And an Activision spokesman denied that Modern Warfare 3 was originally an expansion and said it was conceived as a premium game from the start. And I just don't get the point of lying. Like, this is just a blatant lie. And Schreier says more than a dozen current and former developers said that conflicts with what they were told at the time. Some of the employees said the plan was left ambiguous during the first few months of development, while others said they were directly told it was an expansion. Now, for the first few months of the project, which was codenamed Jupiter, the story was conceived as a smaller scale Modern Warfare spin-off set in Mexico that would be more achievable on a short timeline than the usual globe-trotting escapades of a full new campaign. But in the summer of last year, Activision executives rebooted that story and told the developers that instead they would be making a direct sequel to Modern Warfare 2 centering on the villain Makarov and featuring missions all across the world. Analysts have said that even a critical flop probably won't change much about the series over the next few years, and I don't think any of this matters. That's why some people were like, is this going to change anything with Call of Duty now that it's under Xbox? And not really, because the campaign is really an afterthought to most who even buy these games nowadays. You're still going to see Modern Warfare 3 probably being the best-sold game of the year, and that is just showing the power of the brand that goes with all of these staple franchises that have yearly new entries. NBA 2K, Madden, FIFA. Doesn't matter the quality, doesn't matter any of this controversy, because they always go on to sell. Even though I think that Modern Warfare 3 probably one of the worst campaigns ever in Call of Duty history. It really is pathetic on so many different fronts. I've seen some people trying to say that some of the reviews are overly harsh, giving it a 4 or 3 out of 10. It's really that bad, especially narratively, especially when you compare it to the original Modern Warfare trilogy and the setup of Makarov. Just so many mistakes that were made here, and it makes a lot more sense when we know in reality this was rushed out in about 15 or so months. Now, Sledgehammer Games did officially respond to these MW3 reports with an official statement saying, "We're incredibly proud of this game, both the experience at launch and the upcoming year of content. This has been a labor of love. We cannot wait to see our community's reaction to all that the entire game has to offer." I don't know if you want to see that reaction, because I've seen it. It's been pretty horrifying. And a labor of love, not how I would describe Modern Warfare 3. I've had more passionate bowel movements in the last 48 hours than this experience. Like, Jesus. From the start of development, we've all been laser focused on creating the groundbreaking Call of Duty game, the next groundbreaking Call of Duty game. Long before we wrapped up our previous game, we heard loud and clear from fans about the desire to stay and play together for longer within the same series, and that's what we delivered, the first true sequel in franchise history. I don't know what this... What a weird statement. But yeah, that's them trying to defend Modern Warfare 3. I just imagine whoever the PR person behind this who wrote this statement probably was laughing while they were making this, but it really is laughable, because this game is horrible in almost every regard. Now, it is extremely buggy, because all these Call of Duty games never come out completely right. You have the Actman sharing some clips, showing some of the issues. I mean, this is a given, to be fair. Some of these Modern Warfare games, they have issues. But yeah, just some server issues, as you can see in some of this. And as he says, Modern Warfare 3 giving me Battlefield 2042 flashbacks. This shit is unacceptable. Absolute dumpster fire of a game. And yeah, I would agree with that. And it continues, Activision is already pulling Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 maps because of terrible spawns. And as we can see in this clip, yeah, that is... You know, I would assume that they probably didn't have the proper amount of testing to get stuff like this right, but we also had some other users complaining about the time to kill inconsistency, and then again, more clips showing the horrific spawns that are in the game right now. This one, again, just coming alive to die, and especially multiplayer game at launch, just unacceptable. And then we also have people trying out the new zombie components, and...
I mean, almost 500 times.
And even in that... Even that has some issues with it, and then even if you put those issues aside, many have also been critical of the fact that Modern Warfare 3 Zombies isn't comparable to the Treyarch stuff that we've had the last couple of years.
Story so far is non-existent. It's really boring. It's trash. It's literally just so basic and generic and has no mystery to it. It's honestly mega boring to me. And I mean, ultimately, I guess some people just think that fighting off some zombies is enough, and I understand that perspective. Same thing with the multiplayer, being able to play some of the iconic MW2 maps in 2023, that's cool, but the fact that this is a $70 experience, it just isn't worth that in my opinion. And Activision, I would say they need to be better, but they won't be, and I don't think much is going to change under Xbox. I would hope that a lot of those executives lose their job, honestly, just because of how horribly they've run that company the last decade or so, but we'll see what happens under Phil Spencer's leadership, if anything. But right now, Modern Warfare 3 is under a lot of critical fire, a lot of people upset about this, and I want to know what your thoughts are on all the topics that we talked about, including Modern Warfare 3. Have you played it? Are you considering playing it, or are you going to be skipping? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. But thank you for watching. Consider subscribing for more videos like this, and I'll see you later.